Okay, we're going to take our old GTX 1080. We're going to take the water block off of it, which is still full of some fluid here, and we're going to put the stock cooler back on. So the stock cooler has been sitting on a shelf for a long time here, and still okay. Got decent stuff on. I cleaned off the thermal pad there already. Maybe a little dirty, got some dog hair on it, but we just gotta get this other block off. We should be able to get it back on here. Okay, so let's give it a go. What are we going to need? I think this is all holding the block together. I think everything that's actually screws is on the back and underneath the back plate. So let's see if we can take this off here. Let's see what we can find. How many screws do we actually need? I actually don't have. That one's got some rust on it. I wonder if that's from a leak in the block or something else. I think what we're actually going to find here is these are just holding the back plate on. I think some of them go deep enough to reach the water block. But we'll find that I don't think those are even tied into anything. I do good work on these. Alright, so there's the back plate. There's nothing really here. There's two thermal pads on it, meant to cool the bottom side of VRMs, but nothing really going on there. Get rid of that. So we only got a few screws left here. That's all that's really holding this guy down. Not too worried about pulling these off in any special order. Not worried about pressure on the release. Just want to make sure we got enough to get the stock cooler back on here. Maybe we'll reuse that back plate. I'm not sure. It does provide not a lot of nice rigidity. We'll probably do a pretty good job of holding everything else together later. That's some solid flex right there. Well, sounds like the block is already off. There we go. So that's that. This is all the other side of the block is. It's full of paste. All metal. It's all nickel. Solid EK water block. We'll probably take it apart, clean it up some other time. See what's going on. You can see it's kind of cloudy inside of here. A lot of that's actually just like gunk on the actual inside of the block. You can see some collection of minerals kind of inside of here. Some little blue sections inside of there that don't look too good. So we'll take that all apart later, clean it off. A lot of thermal paste here. I think I'm going to leave all of these pads on. Some dust on some of these. We do need to clean the GPU off here. I clearly went with a sloppy application. I don't know why I'm crinkling this thing up so much. I'm going to use the good old coffee filter. Coffee filters are one of the best ways to get thermal paste off. They're not like paper towels. They don't leave any residue behind. I'm not really that concerned about getting it perfect. GPUs are one of those things that, you know, unlike CPUs, there's no socket underneath it. We're not really worried if we get thermal paste everywhere. It's going to clean up on its own eventually. So that's, you know, good and shiny. Shiny enough for what we're doing. So I just want to make sure we got this where we want it to go. So the shroud's going to go back on like that. I'm missing a screw on the top of the shroud. I did not take care of this well. Almost seems kind of silly now to want to put it back together. Alright, so we'll plug. Maybe we'll plug it back in. Let's do this actually. Let's get thermal paste on. And then we'll do this. So we're just going to put some Arctic Silver on there. We'll go overkill. full on overkill there. But it's gonna be okay. Like I said, it's a GPU. There's no pins underneath it. If it spreads out and gets on the rest of the circuit board there, it's not gonna cause any problems. All right, so let's plug the shroud back in. I almost need a clamp for this, right? I should get a clamp. Use it to hold this in place. Where's the other plug? One more plug. If I can get this trickery turned around. Oh boy. Okay, let's see. There we go. Got the plug there. I don't even know what the two of those do. One of them is probably the fan. Don't know what the second one actually is. I'm just going to set the shroud there. Give it a good old hand clamp. Lined up pretty well here. So let's get some of these screws back in. Just going to go with, I don't think these are long enough. We may have to go with the longer screws for these guys. I'm just going to reuse the screws from the water block. I don't particularly think the screws make a whole lot of difference on these. The main difference is when you're trying to make sure the VRMs fit together, and those are all the other screw holes. It's not too worried about it. I'm going to use, whoop. If I don't throw it on the ground, I'm going to use these long guys. A little bit of flex there on the board as we tighten that up. Alright, so let's see where else these will fit together. I'll make sure we get some of these back ones done. The main thing on GPUs that you don't get is when you get a bad connection to the VRM. Those can bleed some heat. I've known myself to do pretty poorly putting these back together. So I want to make sure I do a reasonable job. Make sure it holds together good. Get some good connections on those. Now we can do some testing with it. See if it actually is gonna hold up under some gaming. Make sure it doesn't heat up. Alright. That screw is too short for that hole. I'll have to find a longer screw for that one. I can't stick it in the hole. This plastic washer was giving me a run for my money. Couple more to go. Whoop, whoop. Every time I drop a screw like that, I'm just waiting for it to go flying around the room. And it'll never be found again. That's probably why I don't have any screws left to put this thing back together. Alright, we'll dig one more out of our screw box here. I believe these two are the main VRM screws, so we'll make sure we get them in here. I think this is actually an old laptop screw. This did not come out of this for sure. Definitely a different head. Alright, so I think that's actually on there pretty solid. Got a good connection. I think we're good to give it a go. Everything looks good. Don't mind my empty screw holes. On there tight. Everything looks clean on this side. I think this will work. So I'm going to plug it into a machine. We're going to see what happens. It may or may not overheat. But I hope you enjoyed this quick video on how to take off a water block, put a shroud back on, and please look forward to seeing what happens when we plug it back in. Have a good day, everyone.